Hello boys and girls. The fact that you're opening up this lesson means you have successfully finished the topic medicine through time. Well done. Now that does mean we're going to start with a new topic, and the new topic is going to be Anglo-Saxon and Norman England, a time full of love, peace and understanding for each other. Or at least, sort of. Now, before we actually move on to the interesting part of this topic, we first need to have a quick look at what this paper actually means for you and your exams. This paper will make up 20% of your overall grade for your GCSE exams. And this paper is also known as what we call an in-depth study, meaning we'll just look at a short period of time. It will be give or take 25 years, but we'll really zoom into the details of what happened during this period of 25 years. Okay, let's have a quick look at our timeline now. The events we're going to study took place roughly between 1060 and 1085 CE, so the Common Era, which means after Christ. That means they all took place during the 11th century. And if you look at your timeline, you will have noticed that this is all during the time period we call the Middle Ages. Hopefully this rings a bell, as we have studied the Middle Ages during our study of medicine through time. Central to our study is the Battle of Hastings, which took place on the 14th of October 1066, where the Anglo-Saxons tried to fight off the invading Normans, but in the end failed to do so. Now, this famous battle has been remembered on a source that we call the Bayeux Tapestry, which was also made in the 11th century and which we will have a closer look at a later date. Now, that is the first bit of information you do need to know about, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to write this down in your notes. Now, before we're going to look at the what, the how, the why of the Battle of Hastings, we first need to have a look at what England looked like before this battle actually took place. So who lived in England before this? How was England ruled before this? How did things work over there? And our story starts in 410 CE, so at the beginning of the 5th century, when the Romans left or decided to leave Britain. So before this, England was ruled by the Romans. But in 410 CE, they decided to leave Britain behind because the Roman Empire was under attack from all sides in continental Europe, and the troops stationed in Britain were needed elsewhere. Now, as soon as the Romans left, tribes from all over Europe realized that England was up for the taking. England was left undefended and they could easily swoop in and take over. And 3 tribes in total decided to do so. Now, I'm going to show you a map. You can see it right here. And I would like you to try on your own to figure out what 3 tribes invaded England as soon as the Romans left. By now you've figured out that the 3 tribes invading England after the Romans left are the Jutes, the Angles and the Saxons. Now, the Jutes are only a small group and not that important for our study. But the Angles and Saxons are going to start doing something very interesting. They are getting along very, very well. They're going to start marrying each other. And throughout the years, they're going to create a new group we are going to call the Anglo-Saxons. Now, after a period of give or take 600 years, Anglo-Saxon England, as we call it now, will become a strong country with a strong government and a strong economy. And in 1042 CE, it will also have its most famous king, called Edward the Confessor. Now, this is the last little bit of information I will be providing you with today, so write this down in your notes, and next lesson we will just focus on retrieval practice.